apply, or people from within the station who were considering doing mornings. And there were a series of auditions, and the same thing happened before Bax came in. When Jonathan left, they turned inside first and looked at a couple of people, and then considered a few on the outside. There's a natural chemistry that occurs when you find the right partnership, when you put the right two people together. It's very difficult to take two people who've never met one another, put them together, say, this sounds okay, I think we can make something of it. I think there really has to be something natural there from the very beginning that they can flourish rather than create.
When they put us together, it's actually kind of unusual. I had found out, I was in Springfield, Illinois for a few months, and I found out probably 30 days before I was getting fired that I got fired.
Yeah.
And, you know, I confronted management once I found out, and it was true, and they were saying, well, we're looking for opportunities for you. Well, I probably had the world's shortest unemployment in the history of radio. It was 72 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Between finding out that Jonathan Reynolds was leaving, talking to his former program director in Milwaukee, and then flying to Springfield to spend time with John. We had dinner together at Spaghetti Warehouse. We had an interview between John and I, the general manager. My wife was in there for some reason.
Because she's your wife.
Because she was my wife, and you know, she was going to have to move too. And it was
I had a hooker there, but
right.
You know, Bax at least had his wife.
But what was unusual about it
It's not your wife now, though, is it?
No. What was unusual about it is Jonathan had not left, and John was about to have throat surgery.
Yeah.
And I had to do 2 shows as an audition with the guy who was leaving. I had 2 shows with Jonathan Reynolds, which was
bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarre. I mean,
not only did you have the shortest period of unemployment, you had the probably longest advance notice in radio.
Oh yeah.
People don't get 30 days
notice
in radio.
No, you don't get notice at all. I just found out kind of through a back doorway of information. But it just, you know, we just kind of felt that it was okay. I mean, it was. I mean, there was room to grow, but we felt that there was something possible here, and so I took the job.
And the truth is, I have never worked with a partner for more than a single show audition that I didn't become partners with. I mean, of the 5 I've worked with, I'm actually able to work with a lot of different people. But I think the difference that they have in this partnership right now is so different in contrast of personality that lends itself to being so successful. I mean, Bax and I could not be more different personally than we are, and that obviously translates to the show. It's not, there's a certain degree of acting in doing morning radio, but there's also a certain degree of true personality that will make that acting work or not work. And while we don't necessarily believe everything we say on the air, our personalities are what stand behind the things that we say, and that makes it more real than just slapping 2 guys together who may or may not have chemistry.
It seems like you both generally make each other laugh, though. Like, you know, I hear you laugh sometimes, whether it's a fake laugh or not, I don't know, but sometimes I'll hear you laugh at some of his jokes, and they seem to be sincere.
You haven't heard his jokes, have you?
There's a lot of fake laughing.
There's a lot of fake laughter. In fact, it's just a tape that I found of me laughing.
Some canned laughter?
There's a lot of confrontation in our show. We are very. It's like listening to. It's like watching The Odd Couple, only with more swears. You know, more filthy language. But like John said, that's really the basis of it. Yeah, I mean, I know what he's going to say, and he knows what I'm going to say, and you know, yeah, we do legitimately laugh at the things we say, partially because we can't believe we just did it again. But you know, it's not really a contrived act. It's not really like, you know, everything is scripted out for us. The only thing that's scripted out is a view from the couch, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I actually knew he was going to say that. I knew that whole answer.
I told him an hour ago I was going to say that. And I knew he was going to say that when I said it.
We didn't even know your question.
I'm glad I could be a part of it then.
Yeah,
it was great.
You see how sometimes strangers just walk in and they become part of the magic.
Right.
And I didn't know that this car was going to be parked here for more than 20 minutes. I had no idea.
It needs to be towed.
It's actually in the process of moving, but it's just going very slowly.
Yeah.
By the time we get done, it'll be by this tree.
Very much like the show.
That's exactly right. Well, my mother's the only one watching, so that's all you have to worry about.
Hi, Mrs. Harrington. How are you?
Now, let me say this, though. It seems that when
Let me say this. Can I have some more water?
yes,
Thank you very much.
Yes, you may.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Port yourself while I ask my question, but it seems that when you take a job in radio, I mean, you've been fired. Do you almost expect to be fired from somewhere? Because it's just so common that.
Yeah.
And what are the reasons that everybody's getting fired for?
Well, usually some type of morals thing.
Morals? You don't have any?
Well, yeah, that too.
It's an inevitability. I mean, you can get fired for being a good employee, but there are some people that say you don't really get good at radio until you've been fired from at least 4 radio stations. And maybe that's true.
That's why I'm so damn good. I
That's
was
why
fired
I'm
from 6.
Yeah, this is 4, so I'm right.
You're at the cusp.
I'm at the pinnacle.
You're going
right
over,
now.
yeah.
I
Well,
really am.
Cable access. This is the pinnacle here.
This is it.
And it's almost never personal. Again, you know, Bax talked about the incestuousness previously. Burning bridges is not a good thing to do in this business. When I was fired from Rock 102 back in 1989, it was different owners, but it was the same immediate supervisor that fired me in '89 who rehired me in '91. So you don't walk out of there threatening people and jumping on the internet and looking for recipes of destruction.
Although some do.
Some do, certainly, but knowing that I had spent my career up to this point in this market, the possibility was that if I didn't go to another station somewhere, I was going to end up coming back. And it turned out, as I said, to be the same guy who had to give me the news that I was being let go, who then brought me back 2 years later. So you don't take this stuff personally usually, because it's generally a professional decision, unless you really go over the edge and they have to let you go for personal reasons.
Most of the times it's about ratings, or it's about any number of things. My first radio station, there was I remember 2 instances where guys were fired. There were like 12 morning guys in 4 years at the station I was at, and I lasted 2 years there. For what reason, I don't know. But one guy was fired while he was having chest pains at a hospital. He was in a hospital bed. They fired him on the phone. Another guy was fired. He found out because the competing radio station was announcing it on the air. I mean, it used to be a very filthy business.
Yeah.
It's cleaned up a lot, but some of those kinds of things still happen. But that's just the way it goes.
Now they generally don't fire you until after the surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
They wait for
They
it.
wait till after you're home convalescing.
Yeah, but that means they have to pay for the operation, which
Right.
doesn't really work out for them.
Because, that would have because you've been through surgery twice from what I can remember. You were, as a man, you were taken off the market a little while ago.
Yes,
and
I was
throat
fixed.
surgery, so there was 2 chances. You could have been fired right there.
2 golden opportunities, actually,
Right.
for
And it
them
didn't
to
happen.
let me go.
Right.
And yet the time that I was fired, I was in total medical exceptional shape.
Oh.
Yeah, there
So,
was nothing wrong with me
you go
physically at all.
Go completely against the norm.
Yeah.
But with, you have a family now, and you're married, you have homes, I'm assuming mortgages and things like that. It's got to be stressful thinking that, I've got this lifestyle that, I'm trying to lead outside of my profession, but yet my profession sometimes lends itself to
It's called
fired.
an adjustable rate mortgage.
Oh, yeah.
You never lock in for 30
Yeah.
years. You expect you'll have to move within 5 years, and there you go.
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking. It was for me when I bought my first house. I had not yet. The nice thing about it is, and we're in a very unique position, I think, at least with the way the industry has gone in the last 5 years, we're with a very good company. We're with a company that is concerned with individuals, and that's been proven by the fact that Bax has moved from Milwaukee to Springfield, Illinois to Springfield, Massachusetts, and remained with the same corporation. And the same token, I've been able to stay with the same company through 2 different partners and been able to have things done for me. These people think about their employees. So when you're out there and you're thinking about buying a house, even though you're working in radio, when you work for a company that's more people-oriented than it is profit-oriented, and that doesn't mean they're not concerned with profits, it's a more secure feeling to be able to go out and make long-term commitments, even though this business isn't necessarily conducive to that. On the other hand, there's plenty of other people in other industries out there who will tell you that they're on just as shaky ground as anybody else, and that nobody's guaranteed a job anymore.
Yep.
And that may be true, but I think the entertainment industry, which we're a part of, is very, very fickle, and obviously things can change overnight, more often, I think, in this industry than others.
I mean, my wife and I didn't buy a house until we had, until our ratings for like a year and a half were solid. At that point, I figured, well, I'm probably as secure at this point as I'm ever going to be. If we're going to buy a house, now's the time. And that was, that was 3.5 years ago. And, there's no reason to believe that my house and my mortgage are in jeopardy at this moment.
Right.
Tomorrow, after this show, that may be different.
I guess that's true for any profession, like you say.
Yeah.
You know, you never know if but in radio it seems that you're more prone to, you know, if the ratings fall apart, which I doubt they will, because you guys do seem to have a lock on, at least in my opinion, because I'm probably in that range, the age group that you guys are lending yourselves towards.
Well, you know, that's the funny thing. That's what you're thinking about as you're applying for that loan, and that's what you're thinking about as you're sitting there at the closing, and it's what you're thinking about on moving day.
Yeah.
But the truth is, there is no such thing as a lock in this business. We have been lucky enough to be the most popular morning show in the market for quite some time now. But the big part of the reason for that, aside from the show that we deliver on a daily basis, is the competition as well. So we've been able to maintain on both levels, both competitively and in the performance that we do every morning. But there's no such thing as a lock. I mean, we still, neither one of us ever sits back, throws our feet up and says, well, we're number one, let's relax. I mean, it's still an effort every day to do a show and to book guests and to find materials and to fill 4 hours.
When we get a ratings book, I mean, I can't speak for John. I know my attitude about it is, okay, that's great, now let's move on.
Yeah.
Because it's to me, it's like yesterday's news.
Yeah.
And it is, because when the ratings book comes out, it's already weeks old. I mean, you're already
in a different ratings period.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
You kind of like live a life kind of as a politician would, where you're always looking towards your next re-election. You know, it's
Oh, yeah. It's
but
absolutely like
not
that.
nearly as accurate as the polls are. That's the other
The market
unfortunate part.
you mean?
The rating system is not as accurate as people going into a voting booth and pulling a lever.
But that's a different show.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can't talk about that right
Well,
now.
for a while.
It's the 80s range.
Now, we live in the Springfield area. Is this the Springfield market, or is it the Western Mass market that you guys are being heard out
It's
in?
Hamden, Hampshire, and Franklin County. That is the area that ratings are taken in. But when you look at what Springfield is, I
Probably
mean,
more Connecticut than it would be Franklin County.
Well,
That's the unfortunate thing.
that is the unfortunate thing. The Springfield radio market is actually a lot bigger than people give it credit for, because with Hartford only 25 minutes away, I mean, you have an enormous amount of competition. We compete against, you know, nationally syndicated shows. We can compete against local shows,
And
in both cities.
And Hartford is twice the size of the market of Springfield, you know, as far as ranking goes. Springfield is like, 75, and Hartford is like 35. And our radio station, which we call Springfield, is physically in East Longmeadow.
Right.
Physically, as the crow flies, about 1.5 miles from the Enfield border.
Right.
Northern Connecticut is far more populated than Western Massachusetts is. So, yeah, in essence, we have a lot more listeners than either we're being given credit for or we're even claiming, because we can't claim the listeners in another state.
Because when you do take phone calls from people, they're calling from
Constantly.
Enfield and
They're calling from
Middletown and Rocky Hill and Cromwell and,
yeah.
you know, 20 miles, 20 minutes south of Hartford.
So is that what you mean when you say it's really not that accurate when?
Yeah, that's part of what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also get people who live in Vermont and in some places New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seems almost impossible, but it's true.
Yeah. Well, up in, if you look at like Orange and Athol, and you know, there's only a handful of people up there, and who knows if they even have electricity.
That's
people don't
true.
have radio.
Right.
Well,
and we've been desperately trying to give them to New Hampshire and Vermont, but some reason,
Won't
something
take
about
away.
taxes.
Yeah, the whole governmental structure.
Right.
So that's the market we're looking at. And as far as going west and in east too, I mean, you're looking at Worcester. You're probably picking up the signal out there as
Actually,
well.
east and west, we don't do all that well. The way the signal goes, once you reach about Auburn, we fade out. And once you get past Westfield on the Pike, between Westfield and Lee, we're gone. You can't hear us at all.
Yeah, we're stronger north and south than we are east and west. But for instance, I have relatives who live in Southold, Long Island, which is almost on the tip. The tip is Montauk and the Hamptons, and then Southold. And my aunt in Southold, Long Island, can listen to the show. Now, you can't hear the station all the way to the coast of New London, but it bounces off the water, and then it gets heard on the other side.
Oh,
So
wow.
it really does carry.
I know I've been in Rhode Island, and I've actually picked it up.
Yeah.
At different, very faintly, very faintly. You can do that. So you've been together now for how many years? Has it